Salam guys. So a few months ago I started a journey where essentially I went to travel for knowledge, and it was in Cardiff, so not too far away from London, but I went there and I settled with the intention of staying there for the duration of my masters. Since then, of course, a lot has happened, and I did move in a global pandemic, and I wasn't really sure about the move, but I thought that might be the best thing for me, knowing that it's going to be really an intense amount of work and it might not have been possible at home. But either way, the intention was there, and since then, of course, I've had a lot of loss, alhamdulillah, and I think that I had to make a decision. And although I felt like I was failing a lot of the time, or that I hadn't met the expectations of what a student that's meant to move out should do, I decided that the best thing for me right now is to come back and be with my family. And honestly, like, the experience obviously has taught me so much, but just thinking about me being there alone and the time that I was there, it was a very traumatizing experience, to say the least. And I say this to raise awareness of what university students are going through in accommodation, because it is so isolating. When I moved to Cardiff, I didn't really know anybody there, and so even the opportunity to constantly meet someone from a different support bubble wasn't there. So majority of my time I spent by myself, and so I really wouldn't recommend it, especially right now, because I think it has such a detrimental effect on your mental health. And I think grieving in that kind of exacerbated the feelings that I had. And I'm really grateful for the experience 100%, but I think it was just too much for me. But either way, this is the story about how my life got turned upside down. So I'm going to take a minute to tell you how basically I came back to London after spending like 3-4 months in Cardiff. But anywho, me and my sister went to Cardiff because I couldn't do this journey alone. I was just like, if I subject myself to isolation for more than 1 hour, I would lose my mind. So my sister, alhamdulillah, came, and she came to help me pack. But essentially, she mostly came to feed me, because that's what she did the entire week. She loves to cook. I don't mind, but I rather not. And I did the cleaning. But yeah, so we went, and we thought it would be a really good break from everything that's happening at home. And just like the process of losing somebody, especially when they're gone from your house, I think it's a very different experience. And I know that many people are going through this right now, so may Allah grant you ease if you are going through that, or if you've lost someone close to you. It's never easy, especially not now, but I think it's definitely a process of this life, and something that we're all promised, and something that I'm coming to terms with. But either way, we went to Cardiff, and we thought we were going to make the most of it. It's going to be like a girls' trip. Lots of isolation, obviously, but essentially we got to spend time with each other. But I think very quickly we realised that the small enclosed space, plus everything that's going on, was like not it. We tried to go on our walks, and Cardiff has some really beautiful places to walk to. So, and there's like Butte Park, which is really big and amazing. And then we went to the bay, which was nice. But I think after a bit, there's so much walking you can do. And I think we both felt really suffocated. So by like the second or the third day, we were ready to come home. But we could only check out on the Saturday. But anyway, I had literally packed everything. I was like, I'm ready to go now. But we kind of just had to wait it out. And in the meanwhile, we were both doing our work and studying. I wasn't studying, but she was studying, and kind of like doing our bit. And I think after a while, a lot of the things within the apartment and just in general were really getting to me. And I want to clarify this, because I think this process of moving forward or finding some sort of contentment or peace is just not linear at all. And at some days I really hype myself up. I'm like, you can do this, like you've got this within you. And then other mornings I'll wake up and I'll be like full of anxiety, and I'm like, I can't do this is too much, isolation's too much, this loss is too much, this pain is too much, I can't do it. And I think it's important to remind yourself and have people remind you that Allah will never test you more than you can bear, and just trying to cling on to that. And I really am trying to cling on to that, because there's so many feelings that you go through. You go through anger, you go through betrayal, you go through just like such a number of emotions. And I remember just at one point being so angry and then coming out of that and saying to myself, coming out of this situation, I do not want to be bitter, I do not want to be angry. I've gone through that cycle of emotion. And I remember someone saying that when Allah tests you, the way that He evaluates you, or he looks at how He rewards you, is how you respond to the test and the level of patience and the level of endurance that you show during this test. And honestly, I haven't shown a lot. I'm someone that's quite reactive, someone that's quite emotional. And so I kind of try to keep reminding myself that if I want to be someone that is God conscious within this experience, then I need to be more patient and show more gratitude through this experience. And I know it's a different journey for everybody. You go through your process. When my granddad passed away, I was so angry all the time. I just couldn't believe it. And then when my uncles passed away, I think there's a different kind of realization that comes. And so I think do your process. Your process is so important. And also just remind yourself that Allah is always there. And I just want to say that sometimes you can get really desperate with your emotions. You can get really overwhelmed, especially if you have a lot of anxiety or you suffer from depression. It's really important to remember that these are really human things and these are really human feelings, and you really need to reach out. And as much as I think people tell you reach in, you've got the power within you, sometimes it's just not enough.
Reach out to your creator. Reach out to a counselor, reach out to a friend, but reach out and find comfort in that Allah has created a mechanism, a support system around you to get you through this process. And you will eventually, and I will eventually get through this process.
When will we meet? When the war is over. When will the war be over? When we meet. I think that's a snippet from diaries and really encapsulates this last part of my journey, out this period of my journey that is life. And as difficult and heartbreaking as it is to not know when this war will end, I know that eventually it will, and the one that I will meet at the end of this war is much greater than everything, and much greater than the loss and the sorrow that I feel. And I pray that the one that I get to meet at the end of this war, that is this life, is the one that created me. And I pray that we are all amongst those that get to meet our creator, inshallah. Ameen. So guys, leaving Cardiff to go back to London in a pandemic. Bye, Assalamualaikum. Thank you, Cardiff, for serving me so well for 3 months. I ain't lying for it was traumatic, but it's alright. Yeah, big brown girl goes to live by herself and she can't handle it. She goes back home. Lol, I'm tragic. Anyway, slums.